Okay, so this is the worksheet that you're going to be working on. So I'm just going to go ahead and run through just a couple of these just to make sure we're on the right track on there. So this first one says to determine if the sequence is arithmetic, and if it is, find the common difference. So that's all you've got to do there. And so again, we're looking to see is, am I doing an addition to get from one problem to the other? Now I say addition because you could always add a negative, so addition or subtraction really, but that would make our difference a negative value. So an example would be this one. So when I look at it, and I look at, and a lot of times you'll see it written this way with the difference here is a -3. So then the question is this one a -3? And it is, and a -3. So yes, this one is arithmetic. Okay, and then we could do, let's see, I was going to do a different one, but maybe here. So 9 to 14, I'm going to add 5, add 5, add 5. So also, and I forgot to put up here, so this would be D equals a -3. So this one is also arithmetic. And your D is a +5. Okay, now you don't need to put the positive there, but I did just because the other one was negative. Okay, so the next one is to give the explicit formula, which is what we were doing. So that formula that I gave you earlier, AN equals A1 plus N minus 1D is your explicit formula. There is another one that is called a recursive formula. I personally don't like the recursive because the recursive doesn't let you predict things in the future because well, it does, but you always have to have the previous term. And so basically you would have to find every term in the sequence in order to get, let's say like the 20th, you would have to find the 19th and 18th and 17th and so forth. Where this one, I can do anything in the future and I don't have to find those in between, if that makes sense. So this one says you're given the formula and it just wants you to find the first 5 terms that you have. So what we're looking for, and then the term that's given. So first off, A1, okay, all we're going to do is we're going to put A1 for the N. So that would be a -4, okay. A2, okay, that looks like 3. A3 would be 10. A4 would be 18. Is that 28? Oh, sorry, about 17. How about 17? My bad, can't do math. A5, so 35 minus 11 would be 24. I really can't do math. 24. Okay, and so that would be your 5 terms in the sequence and how you would find those. Now then, if we're wanting to do A34, then again, all I'm going to do is put the number 34 there. Now, one of the things too, guys, well, let me go ahead and finish this and then I'll tell you about it. So we would just go ahead and run those numbers in our calculator. 7 times 34 is 238, and 238 minus 11 would be 227. Okay, so A34 is 227. Okay, so what I was going to say was, if you'll look at the equation that you're working with there, one, it is in slope-intercept form, okay? Mx plus b, the only thing is they did b plus mx on that. And it does have a slope then of 7, which means our constant difference is 7. And, you know, in theory, you could have just taken your first one once you found it and just added 7 every time to it to get your sequence instead of plugging the numbers in, okay? Now that would be one thing, and that's kind of like a recursive, because you find the first one and then you take that and get the rest of them. But again, if they weren't having you do all 5, they just wanted you to do A34, then you could just skip all those others and just do the 34 inside. The other thing about it is what they've done also is they have taken this formula here and they went ahead and multiplied it out and combined your like terms. So that is the simple form of that explicit formula. Okay? So basically, that's what you're doing with those. Find the first 5 terms, and then again, now, what was that? Then find the term that's missing. Okay, so the next one is, it says it gave you the first one, and it gave you the common difference. Then it wants you to find the first 5, and also then write the formula. Okay, so that's kind of like what we were doing earlier. So we're going to use this formula. You need this formula memorized. Okay, so we have AN equals A1 plus N minus 1. It's kind of like when we write our linear equations, you have an X and a Y in your equation all the time. In this case, you're going to have an N and an A sub N. And you have a difference of 10. Okay, so that would be my formula. Now, it is definitely 100% possible. I'm going to go ahead and do this. If you were looking at an answer key, the answer key a lot of times will go ahead and distribute the problem, okay, and then combine your like terms. And so now this is our actual equation. And they do that because, again, it does look like slope-intercept form, which would mean that your starting point, okay, is 18. Now you're going to say, well, but A1 is 28. But remember, in your y-intercept, it is your 0, okay? It is where hitting on your y-intercept is 0b. So what we're looking at is A sub 0. Well, if you think about it, if the first term is 28, the difference is 10. If I take 10 away from it, I'm now at 18. So if you were graphing this, okay, that's another thing to mention. If you were graphing this problem, then it would be 0, 18, 1, 28, 2, 38. That's for your points, see? And so again, that would make a linear equation. So kind of tying all this into our linear equations. Okay, did we answer everything? One of the first 5 terms, I was in the process of doing that. 3, 48, and I was doing Miss Points. You could probably just go ahead and do 28, 38, because again, we don't do 0, 48, 58, 68. Is that 5? Yeah, there we go. So there's my A1 through A5. And again, the reason is because we don't do A0. Okay, if that makes sense to you. Okay? Okay, what's the next one say? Given, that kind of got cut off. Given the term of the arithmetic sequence and the common difference, it wants you to find, I think it says the first term. Let me see if I got my worksheet here. What does it say on 15? Let me make sure. Find the first 5 terms and the formula. Okay? So first 5 terms and the formula. So here is where I was telling you, again, we're going to have our AN, and again, I just keep writing this down, A1 plus N minus 1 times my D on here. And when I look at this, I know A38 is what I'm looking for, okay? That's what I'm looking for. So that means my N is 38, okay? Equals A1, I don't know, plus 38 minus 1 is times a negative 1.1, okay? So that's kind of what we were looking at before. Now, they do tell us here, guys, that A38 is negative 53.2. So I could put that in place. and I could simplify. Okay, and I can actually go find my A1 now. Okay, so let's put some numbers in there. So 37 times 1.1. 40.7, and it's going to be negative. So if I move my 40.7 over, I get a negative 12.5. So my A1 is negative 12.5. What I can do now is I can go ahead and finish out my formula that I had earlier. So AN equals my A1, I just found that, okay, plus N minus 1 times my difference, which is the negative 1.1, okay? Now, that would be my formula. Again, you can go ahead and multiply that out, combine your like terms again, and get that in slope-intercept form, okay? So do you see what I did? I wrote my formula. I'm looking for A38, so I know it is negative 53.2. My A1 I have to find because I can't do my equation without my A1. And then your N, again, is your 38. It also goes here, okay? And then times your difference. Find your A1, and then you can go back in and write your formula. And again, if you're checking with your answer key, I think there's a good chance that went ahead and multiplied it out for your answer key. Okay? So that's how you're going to do that set. Okay, try to get through this fairly quickly here. So we're going to not talk about recursive just yet. I'll come back in and talk about recursive. I think that's the next couple ones. Yep, that is it. Okay, so we'll talk about recursive in a whole different series. We may just talk about it actually in class. It's a little bit harder to understand, but not, if that makes any sense. So we'll just talk about it later. So all you're actually going to be doing is 318.